Hello, hello, hello. Getting ready to start it over and I hear this big clunk and the baby's crying. I was like, oh God, is she okay? But I think she is. So if you guys hear a kid screaming, it's the little one. I think she's playing in the dog cage. And I don't know. I heard a bang, probably dropped the bowl, but we will see. So, how's everybody's day going today? Hopefully well. Looks like we had our unemployment claim number come in just slightly high today, but still under 3 mil. Um, Kind of interesting news today, kind of across the board. Yeah, very interesting. As far as actual movement today, basically everything retraced in the currencies market. Looking across, this is a pretty boring, minus 15, minus 13, 47, 11, 46, 7, 3, and 44. Nothing close to its ATR. Dollar yen is probably the closest. And really, it was basically just retracements today, kind of up and down. A few different trades that we had kind of planned last night. Ended up just going sideways through the zone, so we never really got entries into them. But I'll show you a couple of them that did actually trigger today. As far as what we've seen, really the news today, I mean, it's been kind of crazy, right? We talked about trade war information, more fiscal stimulus. Goldman Sachs talking about the second wave could make them rethink things. 7 weeks into the lockdown, people are talking about bad things. Trump's pivoting, embracing a strong dollar, which is the exact opposite of what we wanted before. So kind of a lot of media-based news today. I guess when you don't really have anything else to talk about, then the media's got to take over and be able to fuel that engine. But just not as much movement as we thought. Now, we did see a pop in gold. We kind of got stuck in that upper range that I talked about, and silver actually had a bit of a move today. Silver actually, finally got a little bit of a light underneath of it, and not horrible, nice little pop, and we'll go over that as well. Now, oil also took a little bit of a pop into that upper zone that we talked about, but then it retraced back down again about 40 cents. It's gone down in probably like the last hour or two. It started collapsing, so I mentioned Wednesday that's the day that I was really looking for the peak. I'm wondering if today is going to be that peak. And I wonder if we're going to start heading back down to that kind of 2650 range, by tomorrow afternoonish, kind of going into the weekend around between 27 and 2650. Should be kind of interesting. Anyway, going into tomorrow, really the big thing tomorrow morning is going to be that German preliminary GDP number. And it's quarter over quarter, so it's going to give us a good sense of kind of before and during COVID-19. I think that the euro stands to kind of get beat around a little bit. I mean, it was only down 16 pips from where it was last night, so not really a huge movement in that one today. But having something like this as big as Germany, I mean, that's going to be the biggest GDP number that matters for the euro. That's going to pretty much set things off at the European Open and kind of more or less control, right? It'll control the European session. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. And then also at 8:30, we have core retail sales numbers. They're both expected to be negative, but some of the data we've seen this week has not been as bad as previously forecast. So if it doesn't come in as negative, say it comes in at -9, right, for the retail sales number instead of or -12, while not good, it's better than expected. So it could give us a little bit of a bounce, and we'll see kind of what the final day of the week can put in. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But again, the market has already factored in those bad numbers. And again, we saw some price action today based off of those numbers coming in for tomorrow. So, is what it is. 10 o'clock tomorrow, we have preliminary U of M consumer sentiment. So we'll see how that turns out. Expected to be 68. It was 71.8 before. So not a great number. Ideally, you would like it higher than that. But it's not the worst number either. It definitely could be much, much worse than that. So we'll see. There's definitely some room to to kind of change things around there, or kind of change some momentum. One thing I will point out today, guys, again, the one thing about consumer sentiment is the timing of that one is perfect. Being a 10 a.m. release, it's also a trigger for reversals. Today there was a nice little reversal at 10 o'clock. I'll show you that inside of the charts as well. Actually, I think there's a couple different reversals at 10 o'clock today. But yeah, we'll go over those. Okay. So that's basically what we did today and going into tomorrow. And again, tomorrow is really, last day of the week. Things start to drop around 12, 11, 12. There'll be, some trades obviously, after that. But for the most part, pretty much everybody's done between 10 and 11:30-ish tomorrow. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you protect your profits. And, like I said, after the 10 o'clock numbers, unless the Senate decides that it wants to force through like a stimulus package tomorrow, which who knows, maybe. You never know. Um, Stranger things to happen, right? That's about the only reason why we'd get any movement tomorrow, and I don't think that in listening to all the news today, I don't think there's anything monumental that's going to be released. There may be some like lip service stuff, but I don't think there's anything that's true substance of actual changes inside the market for tomorrow afternoon. We'll see. But I wouldn't be surprised if we start hearing more rumblings each day about whose stimulus package is being the closest, and how much money you're going to get, and yada yada yada. I will say, in Maryland, there was an article today about how restaurants are having a hard time getting their employees to come back to work because they're making more money. And it's literally like the public is rioting. They're like, this is such bull crap. People want to get back to work. We want to get out of the house. And everyone's like, I don't know which person, if they need their, if somebody wants their, give up their job, we'll take it. They don't have to come back to work. And it's funny. Like, nobody actually believes this message. And things don't even really open up until Friday afternoon. But yes, accordingly, there's this article. So it was kind of one of those like, yeah, this is all propaganda. There's like, I saw it like, I think it's like 2 hours old. And there's like 8,000 messages on it. Basically, people calling, bullcrap. So pretty funny stuff. My area is actually starting to open up starting tomorrow at 5 p.m. Like hair salons can open up, but you're only allowed to have one person in the store, one customer in the store at a time. So I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work out or how they pick which stylist gets to be the one that gets to cut that hair. Yeah, I can't wait to see tomorrow how it works out. There's going to be memes and stuff. All weekend it's going to be just people complaining. So yeah, lots to look into this weekend. All right, so with that said, let's go over and jump into some charts. All right, first things first, Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar, we had this white zone mapped out yesterday, and we were talking about doing some type of a Harry Potter trade, looking for a break below. Now, this invalidated itself right in this zone right here. Remember, Harry Potter is about getting an entry like this, getting some white space below, some type of a little bit of time, not just a fast pop up and down, and that's what we got. We got a big drive through and an immediate pullback, and then it just kind of based sideways. So it kind of invalidated itself for that short entry. It did eventually go down a bit, but again, just because it did it, just that's more coincidence than anything else. It didn't actually meet our guidelines for entry because we never got space, and we are on a 30, so we just didn't get it in there. Now, with that said, there was a little bit of a zone right here. Okay, and you guys can see that there was a push off of this zone as well. Again, it was a nice pop, a little bit larger. It was about 17 pips compared to everything else. It's like a little bit high, right? A little bit high. It was definitely over the ATR. The ATR on this one was a bit lower. Particularly in that time, we were kind of floating in this 10-11 range, and that was 17. So kind of a little bit on the big side. It did drop. I don't think it made it actually all the way to 2-1 or the 3-1, but it was definitely a short position in there today. But for the most part, it was more or less just sideways coming through. Again, we had the big drop last night. We were right here last night, right about here, actually right here. This drop was the Australian news last night, and you can see all we did was we've retraced right back up to the same spot. This one has moved 6 pips in 24 hours. And most of it was this push right here, which is about 48 pips, and then it just slowly retraced it. So, small grabs in this one, nothing that I would be like, yep, excellent trade. Glad you grabbed that one. Good job. Just not really enough in this one to, besides this piece right here, which had been 5 o'clock this morning, which many people are not, taking. Looking at it now, there is this zone here, and I mentioned this yesterday, that we definitely have some, descending candles right here, right? 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, lower, 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 lower. It's kind of been tested right here, and now we're at that zone again. So this is most likely going to be an overnight short. This is coming in with dollar strength right now. I don't know with retail sales if we can get enough dollar strength. As far as matching up the risk to reward, it does make sense where the profit target is. Obviously, there's a level of basing sitting right in this level, so it's not ideal. You typically want it to come straight up and not base below the zone. The profit target right here, the 1 to 3, is in the exact position where it needs to be. So that's really nice, and if it can break the lows where it is now, I do think it will continue to the downside a bit more. This one's about 40 pips to the downside, so that'd be a nice way to go into Friday as well. So we'll see. Yeah, we have Chinese news tonight. The fixed asset investment and industrial production. That has the potential. Let me bring this in so you can see real quick. This has the potential right? If this number is bad, that definitely could weaken the Aussie, and that could be kind of a driving factor in pushing this all the way down to the profit target. Um, but I don't know. I don't know if I take it again if it pops up to that zone. If it continues to push down, then we could be good. But we do have to get through this basing level, and then obviously we have this bit of range right here just to kind of eat through. Okay. Looking at Aussie Yen. Aussie Yen, we had kind of a similar setup. We were looking for a break of this level. Okay. We ended up going to the very, very brink of it, coming up, going to the brink again, pushing higher, and then we went just below and immediately popped back up again. So we never actually got any type of entry into that for a short. It did pop and bounce off of that zone. This one turned at about 10 o'clock this morning. So this is one of the reversal trades. Wasn't really the best place for reversal. So if you look back, this is not one that I caught. There is a bit of a zone right below, but it even breached that just by a little bit. So this was a harder area to grab. Obviously, it coincides right here with the 10 o'clock number, and what we saw today. I don't know. Like I said, I'm kind of torn on this one. 9:30, 10 o'clock. I mean, it started hitting at 8:30, 9:30, it pushed down again, and then 10 is finally the green candle that kind of shut us out. The only thing you could have got, and it was pretty aggressive, would have been this test right here. This test came in at about 11:30. So price had kind of turned, kind of stabilized, kind of pushed up, and then kind of pulled back down again. So that was about the only entry today, and it was quick. Okay, it was not a very long trade. It spent very, very little time down there. Depending on which brokerage firm you're using, you may not even have gotten in the entry on that one. So it's right here. You guys can see it. It did enter the zone right here. Okay, it did enter the zone, but again, you had to be there at basically the exact moment. I think even on the 5-minute. Let's see. Yeah, on the 5-minute, you guys can see it literally just kind of basically the red one here and the green one are the two that actually pierced into the zone by like maybe half of a pip. So very, 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 very small zone. Okay, very, very small zone. Actually, wait, hold on. That's not it. It's this one over here. Hold on. Right here. Yeah, it just barely pierced in, and you're talking about 1.5. So, like I said, you may, depending on your brokerage firm, you may not even have got in, and that was the pullback, right? Even on the 5-minute. But you guys can see it right there on the 30-minute. So that was the only thing, again, because it spent no time down here, created no space, it invalidated the Harry Potter. And again, no entry, no big deal, okay? That's trading, right? That is trading. It's always better to miss a trade and not get into one than get into one you shouldn't be in. Since that time, guys, it has been a great trade. Like I said, you had to kind of basically sniper that one, get it like at the exact moment that it touched. It was in less than a 5-minute period of time. If you were not here or you had not set that position, you had less than 5 minutes to catch it. Okay. Since that time, it did it 1 to 3 and came all the way up to 1 to 5. I wouldn't be looking to short this one yet. I don't mind this area up top. I do think that area up top is a pretty good one. Last time when price was up here, it did push up, it did base, and then bam, it got slammed down. So I actually do like that zone sitting there, and you're looking at approximately 69.64 is where that zone is. It is rather small. It is about a 12 pip zone, so not a whole lot of risk going into a Friday. And this one actually will move a bit tomorrow because obviously when you have exposure to the yen. So hopefully we can get that entry. Hopefully we can get another push back up again. If we base and turn here, the 1 to 3 target is absolutely in a perfect place. I'm all over that one. I like that one. Hopefully this is not the turn where we collapse all the way back down again. But I do think price will make an attempt to push back down here tomorrow. Okay. Looking at euro yen. So euro yen. I'm just not a big fan of this pair lately. Like I said, it does nothing and then it moves and has a big push. We're looking to get in this thing forever. So I got a bunch of stuff up here and I'll explain why in a second. So this was a trade, again, a student set in today, and we started off on the daily. And on the daily, you guys all know what this is, right? You can see that we have 2 green bars right now. That's the action. The anchor is sitting here. It's sideways up, right? It's sideways up. Dropping down to a 4-hour, things got a little bit more interesting, okay? Now, this candle where the arrow is right here, guys, and this is why it's so important to be kind of, in touch with what's going on in your charts. Now, again, 4-hour, big time frame, right? You're looking at, let's see. Here's where we were last night, right around that level. So we would have just missed this one by a bit last night. This was a green candle at some point, right? Because price is higher than it was here. It opened here. It was up, it was green, giving us a downtrend setup on the 4-hour. What probably happened by the time chart school kicked in, it had probably already moved out of that area. Actually, let's see, I'll tell you. Yeah, chart school is over here, so the entry would have already been drawn, and we were waiting for it to push lower. We marked the zone off, but we're waiting for it to kind of come through. So, oh, is that the right number? Yeah, that's the right one. Yeah, we were down here at chart school, right? But here was the pop up today, and again, this was a pop at 10 o'clock this morning, okay? This was that 10 o'clock, and then by 10:30, 11 o'clock is where this one rolled. Actually, you guys can see it right here. It was, yeah, right at 11 o'clock. The 10:30 Joe was right to that zone, and you guys can see the basing. It dropped, it based, and then continued to push to the downside. Ended up hitting our 1 to 3, and again, this is another one of the 10 o'clock. This one's actually 11, but again, that same time frame, that 10 to 11, you know, looking for a zone to kind of drive into and kind of reverse out of. Now, this was a very short-lived pullback. So again, this one had to combine a little bit of a larger time frame, which we, you know, again, we look for. Here's that zone from last night as well that we were looking for. Right. I can remove a bunch of these now. Let me, I thought I deleted this one last night. Let's get this guy off. That was a good one. There we go. Yeah, and this is, you guys remember this last night? We were looking for a break of this zone to capture this whole piece, and we made it all the way down to here at the very, very bottom of this green candle. Now, the entry off of that was a little bit weird that we never got the pullback in, but almost went all the way to the target today before turning, bouncing, and then coming back up. So we're back up in that area again. You guys can see price is sitting here. Obviously, being a previously violated zone, you know, if I continue this across longer, you can see we're completely engulfed right now with it. It really can go either way at this point. Again, it was originally a target here. It held, it broke, didn't give us a retest, got front run here. Actually, it got front right here as well, but it's in the zone right now. This zone could become buyers. This zone could become sellers. I'm kind of leaning toward, in looking at it, I do believe that this one will have a little bit harder of a time going down. And the reason why is because we have this level of basing. Okay. So it's nice that we do have a zone sitting right here. It's a violated zone. We're right in it right now, but we have a level right here of basing. Okay. If we can break this level of basing, though, we do have a bit of a racetrack to the downside. So there is this area right here, okay? The 1 to 3 is in a perfect location. Again, you guys know the Harry Potter setup at this point. Looking at it along those lines right there. You know, a breakthrough, a little bit of a white space, pull back up, retest, and drop to the downside. This one is small as well. Again, this is a great trade to take going into a Friday. Only about 7 pips worth of risk on that one to the downside. Okay. Now, this pair in a day, it has a 93 pip ATR, and it's kind of spiky, right? It looks more like this. It's been nothing spike. Couple good days, average days, but then we go back into this little nothing days. I don't think tomorrow is going to be a big mover, and that's why I'm okay with taking a little tiny risk on this one if we're able to get a pop back up. Okay. If we can't get that pop back up in that, or, you know, a break below and a pop back up, it's just not, you know, in my eyes, it won't be worth it. Okay. If we can continue to push higher, there is another sell up top. That sell is about 30 pips from where we are. Again, we will get some movement tomorrow morning with the German GDP number. So this is another potential trade up top right here. And you guys can see, basically picking the target on this one is a little bit harder because we don't know what the rally up looks like. But you can see that it comes in as a profit target of 1 to 3 right here. So there is another one higher. The only caution about this other one is if we can get up that high before the news release, great. If tomorrow the news release drives it up that way, we may not get the reversal that we need in time before the market closes. Because remember, tomorrow, 10:30 in the morning, European traders are on the weekend. They're out the door. They're out. You lose a lot of strength in pairs like this, and you have to rely upon the yen. So just a word of warning, just a little bit of caution with that one. But there is, you know, obviously there's the one to the downside here, right? And then you have another potential area sitting up here, right, that we can look, whoops, right there, that we can look for, okay? So those are the two areas right now, potential shorts in the euro yen. As far as going long, I wouldn't take a long off this 30-minute level, even though it is a pullback. Like I said, it based there, but it's got a little bit of a kick over here. So, you know, I'm more looking to get short in either of these two positions right here. Okay. Pound yen. All right. So pound yen kind of left without us in the situation. Okay. So let me delete this one. This is one from last week. I thought I had pulled this already. pull those off. All right. So we have a zone right here. So we had a zone that we were looking to see if we could break through the bottom side. We did break, and we never actually got the entry. We moved 2/3 of the way all the way down, came up and got the entry, came back and stopped at the demand zone that was printed. So if you were in this position, this would have been a great place to get out of this trade. Okay. And if you got into the trade, you had to wait a lot longer. And this is kind of a risky one. If you've gone 2/3 of the way to profit, probably even more than that, if you've gone 75% of the way to profit, the Harry Potter trade is kind of already left without you. It's supposed to be just a small kind of pickup, a small bounce, not target and then all the way back again. So if you did enter, you had to be looking to get out at this level because we knew buyers were stepping into the market. So worst case scenario in this one, you got out at break even, but you shouldn't have lost any money on it. Right now, what I would do is I would move this position over to here. Okay, the last time price was up top, had a nice little push to the downside. Okay, we are currently about 55 pips away from that one. You can see right now on Forex Factory, this one has only moved 29 pips in the last 24 hours. So yeah, a little bit of retracement, right? It was basically down and then back up again, right? Down and back up. So I think that zone is definitely something that's valid, and it has basically the same warning that I just gave you guys on the euro. We got to make sure there's enough time for this thing to move. Okay, it's not a bad zone. It's not a zone that I would hold over the weekend, but it's a zone that if we can get there before the European Open tomorrow, that this could be one that's a viable trade setup in the morning. Okay, now I will give you the opposite side of the coin. It is kind of in the middle of the curve. The upper end of the curve is kind of sitting up in this range, right? This is obviously the lower end of the curve. So this is sitting kind of in the middle. I'd like to push off of it, but I understand it is in the middle on the curve wise. So again, you got to be willing to accept the risk in the middle of that curve. Okay. All right. Pound dollar. So you guys remember this? We talked about how we had this cap, right? I talked about how there's a cap on top of price here that it's attempted to go higher, but is stalled, and it kind of pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And eventually it couldn't push anymore and it collapsed back down again. It's now rallied right back up. So it really hasn't moved much. This one has moved 18 pips down in 24 hours. So really not that much. At its peak, from this little cap, it was down about 75 and then has rallied all the way back up, and we're about 50 from where we were before. But, this is that cap that I was talking about, and we had a zone. Was it a 4 hour? Yeah, we were sitting inside of this 4 hour zone for the entire bit of it. So, kind of an interesting little sign there, right? When you're stuck in there. So let me pull this off. There you go. All right. If you wanted to take this short, let me see. What are we going to run into? Oops, not that. Let me see here. The only problem with this one is that anything going short is this is a zone, and there's a little zone right below it. So now I think the best setup on this one, it's not bad in the overnight. It's probably not a horrible trade. How much risk we got on this one? And it's about 20 pips risk. We talked about the cap yesterday. The problem is the cap's a legitimate cap. It's shown that it's definitely can push buyers down. Problem is we're sitting inside of a 4 hour zone. So it's not really the cleanest entry, and it's been kind of skating back and forth. So I like the pound yen better than I like this one. I think I'll let this one slide. If price is able to rally up and we can get up into, if we can get up into this zone though, then I'd be interested in getting into a short. I think that's a much better area, and that price is over here at 123.20. Okay, I think that's a much better entry to be able to get short than messing with this one. And that gives plenty of room to run to the downside. The 1 to 3 looks great. 1 to 5 is not also in a bad place. All right. Euro pound. All right. So Euro pound has now officially moved a huge 0 in 24 hours. We talked about this yesterday about how I just don't feel like this pair is moving enough. You can see the 4 hour really didn't do much. Hourly, not bad. And we had a zone marked off, and all we did was we hit it, and then it hit the new zone. Didn't even break down to the lows. This is pretty sideways. Here's where we are now. Chart school last night, we were sitting right here. So what do we have? A 16 pip push up, and as it went 13 pips below where price was last night. And right now we're sitting about what? On this one, about 4 pips. Okay. So Not really worth it. 16 pips. What are you going to do with 16 pips? There's just not enough in there. There's not enough meat in this one. Just not enough movement. There will be some movement tomorrow again with that GDP number, but we'll see. I don't know if it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be huge. What is it? It's all talk. Nobody wants to get out. How can a restaurant be profitable running at 25% capacity? Yeah, exactly, Ernest. Right. Well, the market starts at 300. Yeah. No, it's all just propaganda. All right, euro dollar. So, euro dollar on the daily today. All right. Here's where we are currently right now. Again, this is the hourly. And here's where we were last night. Okay. Not much difference. The only thing we had was at 6 o'clock this morning, price pushed down into this hourly zone. And between 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning, we drove all the way back up again. At 10 o'clock, we had that reversal. We pushed it right back down again. And then at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we stopped and then we rallied back up right to where we were. Kind of just hilarious more than anything else. We talked about this zone, that this was a great little bounce. There's a zone here, but is there enough room, right? This is one of those questions that everybody's like, oh, did you take that? No. Look, it was deep into the zone before we were able to hit it. And did it hit it? No. So while there was a setup, there was not enough meat on the bone. Just not worth it, Just not worth it today. And minus 15 pips in 24 hours. So just nothing. Nothing. All right? So wasn't able to find anything. So is this a game that looks like stocks in real life? No, this is currencies. No, this is just foreign currencies. So it's the euro versus the US dollar. It's just a chart. I'll actually cover the indices at the end, but if you like stocks, you can let me know a stock and I'll pull a stock up for you. So we didn't have this one, guys. Unfortunately, nothing that we can do there. Looking at dollar CAD. So here's the position that we had in dollar CAD. Okay. Kind of the similar situation. We were looking for a collapse. We were looking for a Harry Potter entry. We did not get it. It went down and immediately spiked right back up again. There was no pause, no delay, no nothing. It invalidated the Harry Potter trade setup. Okay, so we got to remove that. The overall setup was that we would have a collapse to the downside. It did pull back up. It did grab more orders from this area. It put in a horrible looking zone up top. Actually, this bottom zone, yeah, should have been taken out. This is a horrible drawn zone. It just the formation is just bad. It went exactly to where we thought it did. So had you taken this with Nadex, you were good. You would not have gotten stopped out on this position. In spot currencies, we never got an entry. Like I said, we never got that space that we're looking for, that pullback. It literally shot down, spiked, and came right back up again. So not much we can do on this one, right? It hit a target that we were saying that we expected price to be at. Just no entry, unfortunately. Now, this one also turned at 10 o'clock this morning. And I think this one went off. I think it was an hourly zone I had it drawn out to. Yeah, it was a little top of the hourly zone over here. So, decent move today. This one pushed down about 77 pips from where we were last night. After it rallied, obviously, to the top side. But went exactly to where our target was last night. We just, unfortunately, this didn't give us enough space. Didn't give us the white space we wanted for an entry. All right. Aloe. Okay, give me like 20 minutes and I'll do that one. I'll do 2 more currencies and then I'll pull up Aloe. Although I don't even know what that one is. Hold on, let me see. Trading view. Let's see. What do we got in here? Allergen Therapeutics. Yeah, I can do that one. Yeah, I'll do that one. Let me do dollar yen, dollar Swiss, and then I can pull Aloe up. Although I have to get to the not that one. Hold on, go back. I'm just getting the chart ready so it can load on the other side. All right, there we go. It's an ugly chart, but we'll go through it. All right, so this one did exactly what we expected. Went to where it is, no entry. As far as what's tomorrow, okay, there's a little bit of a 30-minute zone right here. Now, if you look back, we did have basing there before, so it's not a fresh touch. It did really push the boundaries of this limit. So don't know that this is going to be the best kind of entry area. I'm kind of hoping that it rallies up a little bit. We get a little bit of dollar strength in here. I'd like to kind of mess around with the same level that we had yesterday as kind of our risk level. Price did push down and it did come back up again. So we did get a little bit more of kind of the pattern we were looking for here. I'm kind of looking for the same thing tomorrow, right? I'd like to see probably something along this line. Now, again, for me, it's going to matter what time we get there, okay? If we get there around 10, I'm okay with it, right? If we rally all day and we get up there at 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm definitely not taking it. It's just not worth it anymore. I won't even be looking at the chart until Sunday, okay? So I like it. Going into a Friday, it's not the ideal situation. Now, if we do spike down in the overnight, okay, I do like this zone here. Okay, this zone is coming in at 139.84. I like that area. The last time we were down here, we did get a pop, we did get a retest, and it barely touched the top of this zone and then took off. It was off to the races. So it's a bit far right now. It's about 65 pips to the downside. The daily ATR is 120, so it definitely can make it there before tomorrow morning. It'd be interesting to go into this zone and then get the retail sales numbers to see if that can kind of be a turning point for the market in the morning. But we're going to need some help from the European session. The European session will have to definitely push to the downside. We will have to break one demand zone to get there, but I do like this zone. If it doesn't hit, it's definitely going to be on my radar for next week to get longs off of it because I do like the formation. I do like that it was retested, and I love the reaction. I love the reaction off the top of it. All right, so keep that on the radar for dollar CAD. Dollar yen. As you guys can see, dollar yen had that very similar kind of touchdown. Now, this one was a little bit nicer. This one was a little bit easier. This one actually spent some time there, right? And same thing. This one turned at 10 o'clock this morning. It was the third reversal. Now, this was a great level, right? So price popped off this level at about 6 o'clock in the morning. So many people are not going to catch that. But when you start looking at charts at 7, 8, 8 o'clock in the morning, the zone was there and we had about 20 pips to go. So you knew that it wasn't that far away, but we could time it with news. Okay. It was about an 11 pip zone. It had 30 pips to the top side. Easy. It actually came all the way up and tagged to 1 to 5. So this was a great entry. It did not spend a lot of time here. It literally grazed right off of the top of this, leading me to believe tomorrow that we could also be in for the same type of scenario, right? We could take this and move this to the side, that we may have that same potential in the same region. Now, the top two levels here, okay, you can see that there's a couple levels up top. I don't care about the weekly. I want the 4 hour. This top zone here, I don't know if you guys can see it, the dotted lines that are right above this top piece here. There is a 4 hour zone sitting right here. Okay, now we are only sitting about 30 pips away from it. I actually like that entry a lot. Okay, again, it's a 4 hour zone. We got front run once. We got another little zone sitting right in front of it. So for me, I am also looking for this tomorrow, depending, again, if we are up in that range. This is over here at 107.64, okay, is where that short entry would come in. Great risk on it. The risk is rather small. Okay, you're talking about 12 pips risk. So again, great Friday morning trade. Grab 36 pips, standard. You're going to make some, some nice money on that one to the downside. All right. Again, if you're not entered into this trade by, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, probably not worth taking it. You'll have to carry it over the weekend. I just don't think we'll be able to come all the way up, grab it afternoon, and then have enough time to come down before the market flatlines being on a Friday. All right. And then dollar Swiss. All right, so dollar Swiss, I don't know if you guys can see it here. I have the overlay on, and you guys can see this red box up top. So we had a zone drawn right here that said, last time price was here, it's not bad. It ended up hitting and kind of fluctuating back and forth. It went just above it to grab the 4 hour zone, and then it collapsed down. But it basically stayed in the same region, okay? So here's where price is now at the 21, and then when we go back, 21 was right here, okay? So in essence, it only had about 5 pips worth of movement today. At its peak, it had about 24, and at its valley, it had about 16. So not really kind of what we're looking for. We're looking for a little bit more movement. We're still kind of in the middle, and we mentioned this yesterday. We're kind of, we mentioned that, hey, listen, we're in this range right here. We're in the middle of the zone. We really wanted to come all the way up top. Again, this was the aggressive entry, and it's a little bit below the aggressive entry. But we really need up top here or down in the bottom for this one to really be a clean trade. Don't know. I mean, this top zone is about 45 pips away. The daily ATR right now is down to 62 and kind of flattening. So I just don't think we're going to have enough this weekend. I don't think we're going to have enough before the weekend. I think this one is going to be a trade that we need to look into Sunday. I think this is going to be a Sunday trade. And maybe we can get up into one of these top two zones. All right. And again, we can just carry that across. It doesn't necessarily matter. Now I will continue this all the way across. I want to see how that holds here. Put it here. There. I want to see both sides of that zone. All right. We'll see. It's been tested once. If we come back up again and we get kind of a slowing pattern on a lower time frame, there may be a short in that area. Maybe. But right now, no. All right. So let's see. Aloe. Mario, you still out there? Let me know if you're out there, Mario. Mario's not out there? All right, good. All right. Mario, is this the stock you're looking at? Allogene? ALLO, correct? All right. So, first things first, I'm looking over here and I say, holy crap, look at all this volume based off of what its volume is over here. Okay. Hide for now. So, when I see this, the first thing that I'm thinking is, oh, there must be news. They must have released something that is driving all this volume. The fact that it is up 35.96% also leads me to believe that there's something that came out that is probably good. Now, looking over at the headlines, you can see the American Society of Oncology annual conference brings together oncology professionals. So they're obviously, I don't know if I can click on it or not. Let's see. Okay, so they're doing T-cell therapies for cancer, revealed abstract data from a phase 1 escalation. Okay. Relapse refractory. Okay, so it's good. It's good data. Okay. All right, so this is how you typically have to play these. First things first, you got to understand that this is a phase 1 trial, so it's not even close to like animal testing or even human testing yet. That stuff starts coming in phase 2. So this is just preliminary results. Okay, it's great that 78%. Wonderful. That's awesome. We're complete responses and 4 partial responses. So again, very, very small group. So here's the problem with things like this. Okay. Companies make money when things get released. Phase 1, it's still probably got years before that is going to come out. It's great news for the company. It's wonderful, right? There's a couple things that could happen with this company. With something that big, it could also be a takeover target, which is great news, right? It's great, all right? A lot of cool things that happen in biopharm when you do that. Now, looking at this on a regular basis. So right now, going back as far as I can go back, price has never been this high ever before. All right. So first things first, it's going to be a bit difficult to be able to grab an area where we should see sellers because it's never been this high. Nothing that they've ever done has justified this fact. When they got the patent, nothing has pushed it that high. Okay. Now let's drop it down to a lower time frame and see if we can see the telltale signs. Yeah. Okay. So you can see that this originally, when the news was actually released, we had a big spike up. And what happened, it immediately pulled back again. And now we're kind of fluctuating in that range, right? Now we haven't gone back up top. So the question is, can I see, if we go low enough now, it would have been too quick of a little kind of spike up to the top to be able to get much. All right, so these are things that I would look for. First things first, and this doesn't matter what you're buying, what you're selling, it could be anything in life. You typically do not want to buy things when they are at all-time highs, okay? When you hear about something, you don't want to be the last guy to get in. There was somebody that owned this over here. There is somebody that owned it here. Okay? What they're doing right now is they're selling what they have because price is all the way up here. They're taking their profit. I mean, if they got in here at 34 and in one day it went up $10, that's a heck of a profit in a very, very fast, again, 35% profit in one day. Okay? What you see most times when you have very, very large spikes like this, and again, you're starting to see kind of the volume is, starting to decline, and you're starting to see, oh, wait a second, look at this big red candle when the volume is getting lower, right? These candles are starting to get wicky as well, okay? What this leads me to believe is this will kind of come over here, and this will start petering back down again, okay? So here's how, and again, it may have another day or 2 days ago, or a day or 2 days where it will continue to push further as more people see this. And again, this was released 6 hours ago. Most of this play has already happened, right? People will kind of get word of it like 2-3 days from now and still want to get into this position thinking long term. Okay. What I would do is, here's a pattern, a very, very simple pattern. Okay. And you can find it a few different places back in here. I can already see it. Okay. And you can do it from either side. Let me go up to I'll go up to an hourly. It's probably a little bit better. All right, so there are certain patterns that you will see that give you confirmations in price. One of them is what we would call a continuation pattern, okay? Typically what you get, and again, you're using this type of pattern typically on lower time frames. So, I mean, we're obviously after hours right now, but if we were on a lower time frame, you'd be over here on like a 5-minute chart. Like if this was tomorrow morning, obviously these volumes would be much more stable, right? It'd be normal trading hours and things, right? What you would be able to see and what you want to look for, and again, in this case, you'd be looking for what's called a green, red, green for the top side, okay? Now, you guys can see that there's just nothing over here. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of just kind of craziness, right? But what you're looking for is a red, a green, and a red. And those are typically confirmations, all right? When it's time to get out of a position is when it breaks in the opposite direction. So right now, you have a green, a red, a green. This red pullback did not break the prior, right? So this is still green, red, green. Red did not break the green, came higher. Red did not break, green is higher. Red did not break, green is higher. Okay, now this one didn't go as high, which means we're starting to go sideways. And you can see since that time, we've basically stayed within this dollar range. Kind of the same thing. So this right here, where this little gap is, again, this is at the end of the day, that's the first kind of chink in the armor. And again, we're after hours, so it gets a little bit funky after there because there's just no volume whatsoever, right? There's just no trading in here. So what I would do is I would look at it tomorrow. Kind of the open is probably going to be good because this data came out 6 hours ago. So you're talking about the very, very end of the day, and that led to the gap. People will probably see it now after hours as they come home from work. They're looking at things. They're doing their analysis. It will probably spike tomorrow morning as well. I don't think that it'll have that big of an issue at the open, but I would start to look for fades after that. I would go to lower time frames. Again, do it during market hours. You don't want to be messing with the algorithms and the computers at night. Mess with retail traders because they're the ones that are going to be getting into this. And all of a sudden, you're going to start seeing this thing turn. You're going to see a red candle. You're going to see a green candle not go as high, and you're going to see a red. And it's what we call a failure to go higher position. That's when you typically start to go short. Okay. So biotechnology, I used to be in pharma, so I'm very well experienced with pharmaceutical companies and phase trials and when they come out and what the results typically lead to in the long run. Things like this, a phase 1 trial that has good results. Cancer is always a big hot button, obviously. But again, this is a phase 1, very, very small, tiny trial. They'll have to do longer, like they're going to have to do long-term studies, particularly with cancer that take a little bit longer. Particularly with, no, just go there. Let's see, I think it was lymphoma, right? Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Yeah. No. Yeah, non-Hodgkin lymphoma. Yeah, so again, great news, but you don't want to be the last guy buying this thing. All right? Yeah, I think it will. I think you'll have a pop tomorrow. First thing first. But then I think you'll start fading after that. So you're probably good. Because like I said, this came out 6 hours ago. That's right at the market close. People didn't have a chance to read or even hear about it yet. So you have a pop. All right. So that's Allergan Therapeutics. All right. So let's go over the indices. So here's the indices, guys. All right. So we had the zone marked off on the bottom, which I believe was a touch bracket this morning on the 30-minute. So here's the 4-hour. We talked about kind of peaking. We wanted to get a little bit higher, and we were unable to do that. There was a zone that we drawn down here on the hourly, and what we had talked about was really kind of this zone had been tested, right? We saw the pop. We had the test right here, and we tested again. So this was actually a touch bracket region, and you guys can see we came, if I can move, no, I'm not going to be able to move that one. I can move it. I can bring it back. You can see where price is down here. Let's see. Let's pull this back up right to where it was. Right there. All right. So here was the touch bracket region. This had the same exact pattern as the yen where it popped high and then came back and touched the zone. You guys can see it right here, the overlay on it. Once again, it was fast. Okay. You guys can also see that this not only hit the zone that we had marked off before where price was, it did it at 10 o'clock this morning. Okay. So all the bad data came in, right? This morning, we hit the 10 o'clock reversal, and then what did it do? Bam, came all the way up and came all the way back up to the 30-minute zone again. Remember, this one had been hit multiple times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and technically 5 before it finally broke. So this white zone was smoked. You had a couple different entries. You had the earliest one, the last one, 5:30 a.m. So last night at chart school was here. Okay, we said that this zone was probably valid for another hit. It hit here, it hit here, it hit here. It came all the way down, cranked that target before it started to pop up. Actually hit it again and popped down lower. Let's see, where was the actual 3-to-1? Not that high. It was there. So off the original piece, right? You would have hit it once. You would have actually hit your 1 to 5, came up, and then you would have been 3/4 of the way. So it almost worked twice, but there would have been your entry. If you got in here, you were good. Here, you were good. Here, you were good. And then boom, boom, 2 profit targets. So again, after 5 times, the area smoked. So you wouldn't have taken it. This one, you would have never looked at this one to get short again after this one, because that would have been 1, 2, 3, 4 to the downside. Okay. So let's remove that. Oops. I actually want that back again. Take that off. There we go. That's fine. All right. So that area is out now. All right. Now where can we go? Right now, we're sitting in a racetrack right now. We just came off that 30-minute zone. This zone is very poorly drawn. It's just too big of a zone. Yeah, even on the hour, look at this. You're not taking that. It's right in the middle. Actually, you can look at this. You can see the racetrack much bigger here. I would say in the overnight, again, I'm going to be bearish like I was last night. You could put in a small zone up top if you really wanted to. If you wanted to wait for a pullback, you could put a level in right here, right? You could put one in there. That would be okay. I do think this is what we're looking to kind of accomplish tomorrow. Kind of that region, right? Something along these lines. Not peach. I thought that was like the red. No, pink is right there. Something along those lines to the downside. I just don't see anything. I mean, again, very ugly zone. I would definitely not take that much risk. If you're taking it in Nadex, you're probably fine because at least you're limited. Only binaries, don't take that in a touch bracket. Targets for this one, again, are going to be right back down to, you know, where we saw it before. Right back down in here in this 89. Remember, my price is a little bit high. 89.82-ish probably. 89.80 is most likely where this one will probably try to get to tomorrow. A lot of that I'd like to see in the overnight. I think that'd be a great little overnight setup there, pushing that to the downside. Now S&P, you guys can see that it had the spike right off the zone. Now remember, this was a zone that I talked about last night. It's both an hourly zone and the 4-hour zone, right? We had a touch bracket a little bit high on this one, and again, that wouldn't have worked for us, okay? It literally dinged the zone almost perfectly and came out, and it did it exactly at 10 o'clock this morning. So this is why that 10 o'clock time is so important. Most of your reversals happen at 10 or 10:30. This is like the 5th or 6th one that at 10 o'clock, it slammed into an hourly or a 30-minute zone and literally reversed on the day. Okay? There's no other way to put it, guys. We talked about it last night. It's a duplicate zone, hour and 4-hour on top of each other, pulled down, didn't get much to run into it. So what can we do with it tomorrow? I would say this top area is probably good. If we push up in the overnight and we end up at right around this 28.70 range tomorrow for the retail sales, that could be a possible area where we're shorting. It is a bit risky because we are sitting in the middle of the range. I love this area up top. We actually have, I don't know if you guys can see it, but from here to here is the first of the two 4-hour zones. And then we have another 4-hour zone that's sitting right above, right? Another one goes from here to here. I don't know if you guys can see the dots in between these two right here. Let's see. I don't know if that makes it any better. You guys see how the dots are up there? So if you're feeling more aggressive, okay, you could always take this initial kind of basing level where basically the 4 hours was drawn. You could take some type of a position in here. Okay, now what I would do is I would set this up as a news trade. If, and again, I say if price is up in this range, approximately around 28 or 29.28 tomorrow before 10 o'clock, look for a short. Now that's got some room to run. It can definitely do it in the overnight, but that's where I would put the short in. If you want to be a bit more aggressive, you could take this zone. It was retested in this candle right here. It is in the middle of the range, which does obviously make it a bit more risky. Now, in the overnight, if we continue to push the downside, this is where it gets a little bit trickier, okay? So, this zone was a decent zone, but the fact that we already slammed into it once and we drove literally all the way to the very, very tip of it, right? I don't know if you guys can see this or not. We drove to here of the zone. So, almost the exact bottom. I'd probably be afraid to take that one again. I just think that we'd be pushing our odds a little bit. It's eating up almost all the orders in there, so I think we need to go lower. What I mean by lower is this next zone right below it. You guys see this zone right here that's marked off? What we have here is this is the hourly zone. Okay, the green is the hourly. I have the overlay set on the 4-hour, and you guys see the white dotted lines right in here? Inside of there? Basically, it has given us a zone right from here to here. You guys see it? Between these two, white line, white line. So let me make this a little bit bigger. Whoops, not that big. What we're looking for is a zone from approximately, remember, I'm a little bit high, so I'm at 27.41. It's probably at 27.35-ish, right? Oh, not text. And that would come down to On mine, 27.26, but probably 27.20. All right. That would be another area that we would looking for price to bounce off of tomorrow, if price is able to kind of rally that low. Now, in the overnight, if we just go flat, again, you have to look at this one before news tomorrow. Again, drop it down to a 30-minute, see if we're basing in any levels, and go from there. All right. A bunch of these smaller ones. Yeah, we got to take those out. All right. So, yeah, that's what I'll be looking for, this zone down here. Okay. Here or up top, again, let it do its thing. But in the overnight, I would say that, again, we're pushing to the downside. I see us kind of overtaking. To me, it looks like it wants to drop lower. It'll have a little bit of a hiccup right here, but it looks like it wants to go down. All right, Dow. All right, so the Dow. Dow had a great level just a little bit below it. You guys can see on the 4-hour, we were really looking to hit this zone. Okay, we knew that there were some buyers sitting in this area. We were really hoping to get down to this level. Looks like we basically got front run on the position, as you guys can see. That's how close we were. We did have a touch bracket right in this range. That I think this one got stopped, but I think it got pulled. Let me see. Hold on. Let's see. Here's where we are now. That one may have been stopped before us. No, we were already down here. Yeah, and we talked about this last night. I thought it would be negative in the overnight. It waned down, and then at 10 o'clock it turned in reverse. It just didn't give us an entry for it. It was a little bit too far away. So it did reverse at 10 o'clock. Again, magical 10 o'clock number, but it didn't come into a zone that was a viable zone for us to be able to grab, unfortunately. I think it was a minor zone, but I don't think it was one that we would have taken a trade off of. Yeah, it was this one here, but it was this here. But being so close, I mentioned taking the lower one, not that one. And you guys can see that's exactly what it bounced off of. It was right there. Okay. So in this case, the aggressive would have been the trade. It went right into the level, the aggressive level at 10 o'clock. Okay. So again, know your times. Times are extremely important. Okay. In the overnight, again, I see this one coming back to the downside, pushing down in preparation for that retail sales number that's supposed to be negative. Top side, this one does have a little bit of a basing level up top. That is something we can grab. That level, we'd marked it off before. I'll just extend this across. Right in that range. I'm going to get this thing out. There we go. And again, remember, this was the Harry Potter entry we talked about yesterday. And that zone's at approximately... On your charts, it'll be about probably there, about 23,817 is most likely where the zone will hit for you. That's still a valid entry. I would definitely, I think that one's worth one more. Not a bad little level. Okay. And again, if we rally up in the overnight, take this at 10 o'clock. If we can hit this at 10 o'clock, take it for short. Okay. That's plenty of time for this one to kind of do its thing. All right, gold. So gold, we finally popped. We finally broke that level, and we hit this multiple times. We hit 1, we hit 2, we hit 3, got super close, and I mentioned this before. Last night it was 4, and if you guys remember me saying this last night, I did not think that the level would hit. I did not think it would hold one more hit, and it didn't. When price finally got to the level, it did finally give an in break. It did go up, and then it stopped on a dime at the opposing level where we were talking about it hitting, okay? So, remember, this is a stimulus-based trade, okay? Any talks tomorrow about stimulus will throw more fuel on the fire for this one to push higher, okay? Currently, right now, it is set up in a supply zone, right? We should be looking for sells at this point. Problem is, again, we don't have stimulus. It's just all talk, and unfortunately, it's going to run emotions pretty high, okay? We are extremely high on the curve, right? Again, we should be looking to short, but right now, until we know what the parameters of the stimulus is, we have to assume that somebody's going to say, stimulus is coming next week. It's going to be another $6 billion, right? That's going to lead to the fears of inflation again, and that's going to lead us to a push higher. So with it basically at the not all-time high, but like where it's at the near term, this year's kind of highest push, I'd be very cautious just trying to, again, worst thing you want to do is trying to, put your hand, step in front of a moving train. This thing has been a train. It's in an emotional state right now. If they mention stimulus and big numbers on stimulus, which I do believe they are going to say tomorrow, the retail trader emotional response is going to be that gold is going up. Okay, so finally broke. Again, we've been holding these two blue lines forever, and I said if we hit one more time, we were going through. We went through, and now we got to start playing with this top zone up top, right up in here. And again, that's basically kind of up at the top where we're looking. We're messing with the peaks, right? The last peak was up here at 47, and today we pushed up to 40. So we got super close. Never getting what? Never getting up this high again? Or never getting up over here? Yeah. No, if they mention stimulus numbers tomorrow, this one will jump. I'm definitely a bear for gold. I think shorting gold has been great. But the fact that we have pushed all the way up in anticipation for the stimulus, I think there'll be enough retail trader kind of sentiment that this will push higher. Okay. Now, silver. Silver took a pop as well, but here's the difference with silver. Okay. Silver is not all the way up here. Okay. So silver, I don't mind selling when we get into a nice little range in silver. Okay. You can see we have pushed up into a zone. We've been holding forever, right? We literally had those zones on there. I think they were hourly levels. No, they were probably 30-minute. I want to say that they were 30-minute levels. So we held this top and bottom forever. And as you can see, as it approached that touch bracket, it hit it, it pulled back. It hit it, it pulled back. It hit it, it pulled back. It hit it, it stabilized. It hit it, it pulled back. It hit it, and then it finally broke through the top. So this was an absolute battle for silver to get through this zone. Okay. We're past. We are past now. Okay. Going to the hourly, you can see that we actually do have a demand level put in. Now, it's not at the bottom, but we do have a demand level put in. And we had a peak all the way up top. Now, don't know if you guys can see it. Here is the next level up top. Now, this is actually a daily zone that we're coming up to. It's got a great bounce. Okay. You're seeing gold start to falter, right? We were seeing gold start to get choppy on the hourly. Right? This is what it started to do. It was having problems. There are sellers up here forcing this back down again. Silver on the hourly has had a pop. Okay. Now, Chinese numbers would have just come in. Let's see what the Chinese numbers were. Chinese numbers come in 2 minutes. So it will be interesting to see what these numbers come in as, because if this number is better than expected, industrial production is getting, it's a bit higher than where we were. Again, it is a year-over-year number, but it's going to be a little bit funky being the year-over-year, not the month-over-month. But the year-over-year, if this is better than expected, showing that we're getting better production levels than we thought, that's going to give a little bit of a boost to not only gold but also silver. So let's see. I'm curious in 2 minutes if this is the area where we should be shorting, or if this is going to give it another bounce. Technically, it rallied into a zone right before news. That's typically a telltale sign we should be getting short. But like I said, it's gonna be more gold than it will be silver. Silver is just gonna kind of get drug along in the wake, but we'll see. All right, as that's coming up, let me pull oil real quick. I think I have an oil chart already up. Yep. So here's oil. Okay. Unfortunately, I had to restart the PC, so I don't have the fancy color in here. But you guys know that we had yellow up top here, and we had yellow down here, and these are our two ranges. So, as I mentioned earlier this week, this is where the oil inventory reports came in. It was this pop right here. I was expecting that to be the high of the week. Today, we managed to not only bounce off that level, but then take another step higher. Now, we are still sitting in this zone. And remember, this zone kind of goes back like basically about a month on the hourly to find that zone. We are in touch 4. Okay, this is the last kind of touch of before we expect this thing to break to the top side. I'm very curious to see what it looks like tomorrow if we start to collapse back down and start pushing for 24 tomorrow. As I said, last month, same time, we were sitting right here, right on the 15th. We kind of had that stabilization, and then bam, on that Friday, right, we had the pop again, and that's kind of what we're seeing right now is this kind of pre-Friday pop. Question is this what's next? Okay, going into next week. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for in oil. On lower time frames too, and again, I don't know if you guys saw this or not. On lower time frames, looking at the candle formation, we had a nice little pop here, right? We didn't go as high, kind of created a level, kind of made another attempt, didn't go again. So it looks like there's been 2 attempts to break this 28-20 range, and it's been slammed down both sides. Now, we did have a pushback. It did grab a small level, not really a great one. I'm curious to see if this is our pullback. And if this is our pullback, will we start to print red? And if we are able to break down below 27.50, are we going to come down and hit the targets down at this level at 26.74? Okay, we could be down there tomorrow morning before the market opens. Now, if retail sales numbers are bad, it probably will affect oil a bit. But I think with all the states opening up right now, that's why we were able to get over the inventory numbers this week and actually get a little bit of a bounce. Early next week is going to be the big gauge of are people going to start taking physical delivery? because we're getting pretty close. We're about 2 weeks out before people are going to start thinking and be like, hey, where do I put this oil? And we'll see if the inventories are still pretty much full. And if it's not, all the way back down. Now, will we go to zero this month? I don't think so. I don't think we're going. I don't think we're going negative again. If anything, I think we'll come down to here and people will be willing to take it for $10. I think $10 was a fair hold. This contract actually went down to $6, but for the most part, the contract floated and bounced off the $10 mark. I don't think we're going negative on delivery, but I do believe that we will get back down. And again, if people decide, hey, listen, no, we don't want, and as soon as people start panicking for physical delivery, that's what's going to lead this back down again. And again, we were in the low 20s here. Now we're in the kind of the mid to high 20s at 27. So again, pulling back to 10, 15 would be nothing big. And again, 10 would be kind of at the expiration of that contract. Okay. All right. Let me see what the Chinese numbers look like. Ooh. All right. So industrial production was a little bit better, right? It was basically double what they thought. The fixed asset investment year to date, that was down a bit, but this is a good number for production. Let me see. Let me go back. Yeah, we're kind of sitting right at that range. Let me see this gold. Wanted to see what the reaction was off of it right now. They're getting a little bit here. Let me see what we got in gold. Yeah, gold's got a little bit of red too right now. Yeah, so yeah, it's reacting. It's not going to be a big, gigantic mover, but it's going to be interesting because it's going to put us down on demand for gold tomorrow. So, yeah, after this pop, when did that kick in? 21. That was at 10 o'clock this morning as well. I'm looking at maybe taking a short on this one tonight. I may look to take over this area right here. Just because with that news, if we were unable to punch higher and we're starting to put a little red in, if we break this level, I'm probably going to try to find some type of a short. Now, again, my pricing is going to be a little bit off from yours, but approximately the 1728 range. This racetrack, that's too big of a racetrack in one candle. That 9:30 to 10 o'clock, yeah, that's more of a move than we've had with that news before. So that's kind of out of the ordinary. So yeah, I may be looking for that if we can get a break. I'm going to probably set an alert, sitting probably right in here. I'll set an alert where that yellow is. Not going to let you move it. Right. Probably right there. I'll set the alert for about 27:30. See if we can get that thing to break. And then I'll come check it out and see what we got strike-wise. Yeah, that could be a nice little short in the overnight. All right, let me see. What kind of questions we got here? Yo, can you check out a stock? Yeah, sure, Jim. Just give me... Or Guy. Sorry, not Jim. Guy from Norway. What stock? Let me know. Anyone else lose him? Okay, I'll refresh. No, I'm still here, James. What does stimulus do to oil? Stimulus doesn't do too much. Okay, so oil is kind of... Oil is a byproduct of needing stimulus. Oil is not a hedge for inflation. Oil is a proxy or a reading for basically industry. You know, when industry is good, oil is kind of, again, when people build things, they have to deliver it. You know, they put it on trucks, people drive, they spend money. So oil is more kind of a gauge of the economy. Needing stimulus money doesn't really mean much. It means the economy's crappy, but everybody already knows that because we know the supply numbers are kind of all over the place. But gold is different in the fact that gold is not only an industrial metal. So when China does well, there's a lot of gold in electronics. So when China builds a lot of electronics and a lot of infrastructure, they are using gold and silver. It is also used as a hedge for inflation. You don't hedge with oil. Oil has never been in a situation where you could hedge with it. But oil is kind of like if industry is bad or for those reasons, that's where you'll get kind of the response with oil. Okay. Frontline FRO and oil tanker company. Ooh. All right. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Frontline FRO. It's FRO the stock symbol? The world's largest. Okay. Yeah. Frontline. I found it. FRO. All right. Let me see here. FRO. Oil tankers. Yeah, you got to talk to James. James is he'll look out his window and tell you how many tankers are sitting in the. Yeah, so this one's down a bit. Let me see. Let me get a full feature chart here and see if I can get. Oof, lots of gaps in this one. Look at all the gaps in this one. All right, so it's a 5-minute chart. That would be why. Like, wait a second. Why is there so many gaps? All right, here we go. All right, first things first. Let me see if I can find something on a 4-hour here. Okay, all right, so this is not horrible. All right, so you can see that we have a gap. And again, when I say it's not horrible, this is not a stock that I would mess around with just because it's below $10. You get into that penny stock range. I was an advisor for a couple of years. We were always taught, well, not taught, but the regulations are once it gets below a certain level and it goes into penny stock territory, we had to remove it from our clients' accounts. It was legally not allowed to be in there because it was considered too risky of an investment at that point to be able to hold it in an advisory account. Okay, so I have always been one of those people that I just don't believe in trading them. Is there money to be made of them? Sure, but they can be manipulated so easy. On a technical basis, and again, I'm going to remove the prices over, and I'm going to kind of erase the prices from my brain. One thing that I'd be looking for is you had a stabilization area and a gap sitting right here, okay? This stabilization and gap area typically are good buying areas, right? Now, that puts you between the 672 and 612 region. So it's kind of big, and again, I'm on a 4-hour chart, but that's typically a good sign of bouncing, okay? So that's easy to see. Problem is, on the top side, we also have some gaps, but we're going to have to drop to a lower time frame to be able to do that. Dropping down to an hourly. First, let me refine this purple level, right? All right, so this gives me a little bit better of an idea. I can actually shrink this and bring it basically, there's the bottom, right? Because price had pushed down and punched its way out. It touched it again, it stabilized, it gapped up. Again, imbalance in price. It came down again, boom, popped up again. And there was another little gap. And again, low volume stocks like this will have that, low price stocks. So there's your kind of refined level, and it's taking you from 637 to 610. So 20-cent risk. Again, it's not ideal for a stock this small. Now, you also now have a gap on the top side. Okay, you can see that we have a gap and then a push down. It's probably because of news, and then again, it's talking about fundamentals, but I wouldn't worry about fundamentals as much right now. All right, so there's a couple different gaps in here. You got one here, you got one here, you got a nice little one here. I'm trying to find like a nice, like a clean. I was hoping I'd better find a bit more out of it. All right, that's a better one. So for me, I'm going to see sells sitting in this range right here. Why? Because the last time price was able to come up here, it didn't get as high. And actually, in actuality, it's probably more. This is the sell range, and that is a retest off of it. But obviously, if you're long this position, you're gonna want to know, right, when you need to get out, and that would be right around 70-60. Now you could refine that down and be like, hey, listen, if I'm looking to short it or do something along those lines, it'd be right around that kind of level right there. Again, you got to mark the gap off. It had a huge move. Now it's also been stabilized on the bottom side, and here's what's happening. Okay, you got this range right here, and what is it doing? Okay, just look at what price does. It got hammered into that zone. It stabilized and rallied up. Came back, pushed again. Came back, pushed again. Pushed again. Pushed again, kind of cleared it, and then came back and rested on it. So here's my word of warning. Although buyers have stepped into this area before, I'd be very cautious with it because here's why. There are only so many people that are going to be willing to buy it at $7.20. When they run out, price needs to go find the next area where people are willing to buy. Maybe that's 710. Maybe it's 7. Maybe it's 650. Maybe it's 640. Okay? Typically, when you see a level like this that has stabilized and price has gone bam, 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 bam. I mean, think about it. This is a jackhammer going bam, 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 bam. It is going to run out. It's going to run out of people that are willing to buy this at this price when price keeps coming back down again. Okay? So if I had to make a call, I would say I am more bearish than anything else in this position right now. And there's a couple ways you can play it. And again, it's a stock, so you're going to have to play gaps and deal with that kind of stuff. And if you look at this one in the past, when this one gaps down, it never fills the gaps. Didn't fill it here. It barely filled it here. Here, it came up before it collapsed through the gap. Here, it never touched it again. So if you gap down, you could technically, if price comes down to here tomorrow, say it gaps down to here, you could use this level as your risk level. So if price opens where this dot is, and then tomorrow morning, early morning, it rallies back up, use that as your risk level, set a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio to come back over here. That's one way you could play it. But there'll probably be buyers that step in around the 640 point. That level hasn't been blasted a whole lot, but I wouldn't be bearish this position. I wouldn't be in the position anyway. I think it's too low. And again, you're playing it off the headlines. I think there's better things that you could be doing out there with that capital. Okay. EEM. All right, EEM. Let me see. Now we can leave this site. Let's see. All the way up. EEM. Okay, emerging markets. Okay. All right. ETF range here. All right. So as you can see, just you guys remember how I just talked about this gap thing, right? Here was the gap. What happened when price hit the gap area? It got pushed away. So there's a couple levels in this one that I'd be looking at. First things first, you have this level right here. Okay. And again, this is an area where price has pushed down, it's based, and then it launched itself out, which is typically a telltale sign that there are some sellers in there. They're coming in about 36.80 up to about 36.93. Bottom side of where you can get long. Let me bring this up to a higher level chart so I can kind of, actually, let's go up to a daily first. Oh God, it's all over the place. And again, not surprised with the emerging markets and iShares. All right, so let's drop this down to you got this random day over here. I'd probably draw this one. Again, this is going to be a harder one because there's so many gaps in this one. I'd probably draw this base. Let me see. Hold on. Oops, that's not where I want it. I'm going to have to move it over here. So we know we have buyers here. Prices bounced and pushed out of it. There are probably buyers sitting in here as well. And there's probably some buyers sitting right here. Okay. What I'd probably do, obviously right now, we don't know what's going to happen in the overnight. We don't know where it's going to open. What I would look to do is, again, one of the things that we do use is what we call the curve, okay? What I would do is if you have a bit of patience in your trading, if it's not like you need to trade this tomorrow type thing, what I would do is I would wait till price kind of comes higher up here in this curve, okay? There is a level here that you could take this off of, but I like this piece over here better. I like this zone better, okay? Now, price has gotten close to it, and again, this kind of pushed back down. This is just a continuation of the gap there. What I would do is I'd wait till price whether it comes up to 37.20, and again, that would be an area where I'd be comfortable taking a short on this one. And again, there's kind of two positions. And again, if you own it, great. That's, you could, do what you want with that. But then buying wise, again, I think down here at 35.35 is probably not a bad, not a bad one. Let's see. No, not pivots. Where is it? No, not ideas. Nope, go back. And I just can't find it. Hold on. EM. I was looking for volume on this chart, but it's going to be a pain. Oh, here it is. Yeah, so you got plenty of volume on it, so it's not horrible. Yeah, I mean, I would probably wait top or bottom on that one. And again, a couple ways you could play this one. I mean, obviously with 56 million shares, it's going to be optionable as well, being an ETF. Options is probably the best way to play this one. I would not, again, based off of how jumpy this is, how kind of infrequent the volume is down here. Again, you're basically getting open and close, you're getting stuff, and then you get nothing. And then it's kind of funky throughout the day. And a lot of the movement is actually happening with the lower volume times, not the open and close. So I would play this one strictly with options. with that being said, again, I don't know how comfortable you are with options, but as soon as I see options like this and we see that price is kind of stacked, and when I say stacked, you see how long price spent time in here, back and forth? I mean, you're talking about, a pretty substantial amount of time, right? Kind of same things over here. We know that we're having issues up top from here, and we know that we have stabilization based off of down here. When you have a top and a bottom inside of options, there are strategies that you can play. And again, I'm not going to do an entire kind of options lesson tonight, but there are plays that you can basically cover the top, cover the bottom, and price just needs to stay in the middle. And if I had to make a call, I'd probably say that this one is staying in the middle for the next, I'd say probably week, 2 weeks at least. So again, check that with options expiration, but there's a few different strategies you can play knowing that we have tops and bottoms in. Hopefully that works for you. You think the upcoming earnings on May 29th make a big difference, and also wondering why tanker companies have such a high dividend yield. Typically when something here, and great question, Guy, the reason why most companies have high dividends is because the stock prices come down, right? Think about it. If I have a 2%, that, and the price is coming down, the percent is rising, right? So, looking at this one on a technical, when that dividend is up here, right, it's not a very high percentage rate dividend, right? And it comes back down, right? So the lower price gets, the higher the percentage of the dividend actually gets, because it's not based off a percentage, it's based off of an actual dollar amount, right? So kind of one of those things. And as far as earnings go, not really. So here's the thing. Their earnings are probably not going to be great, right? I mean, think, what are tankers doing right now? They're sitting there full of oil, and nobody wants to deliver the oil, so the earnings are probably not going to be great. The market has already factored that lower demand into it, so typically it's kind of one of those things. I mean, there are strategies that you can play that will take advantage of the volatility associated with it, because after the earnings release comes out and people know the data is what it is, you'll have a volatility crush. And in something like this that is associated with oil right now, that's probably not a horrible strategy to play. I haven't played that strategy in years, but there are volatility strategies that you can play with oil companies, particularly around earnings. Now, for me right now, where oil is, I'm just not a big fan. I just don't think that the demand is back again. We're already hearing, rumblings of when is the next phase of this coming. And again, it's going to come. Everybody said nobody has disputed the fact that we will get another wave of this, that we may actually get sent home again. And I think a lot of the earlier projections that everything was going to be back to normal by June or July. I think at this point, most people know that's not going to happen. And the question is, what is the demand for oil truly going to be, right? If the demand for oil is not there, is there going to be a huge demand for an oil tanker company? Probably not as much. So the question is, and again, I'm not giving you any recommendations. The question is, with the capital you would use to play these trades, is there something else out there that could be a better investment or a better trade for you? Okay. Gold being one of them, right? Gold could be something. Instead of messing with oil, you could be messing with gold, right? What about the indices? Where do you think the indices are going to go? With more stimulus and more easing, again, markets can move up, markets can move down. There's other things that you can play out there. There's a lot of different strategies. So that's why I always question, some of the people talk about $7 stocks. Like, how much do you expect to make? Like, do you expect this to go up to 21, and how fast? And what would it take to get up there? Lay those scenarios out. I am not a fundamental-based trader. I don't believe in fundamentals. I believe everything has to do with supply and demand and what's happening in the market today, not what the basics of a company look like. Because if somebody wants something, I don't care how bad the fundamentals are, the stock price goes up. If people want it, it's high. People don't want oil right now. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. All right. All right. So it looks like that's all the questions. So with that being said, guys, it's 10:20. I'm actually going to head to bed a little early tonight. I'm feeling run down this week. I think it was kind of the doing the morning session and nighttime session yesterday. Typically that is on my Tuesday, and this week it was on my Wednesday. So yeah, we'll see if this gets higher. Like I said, if we break this, I could potentially be looking for a short in oil tomorrow. But again, you hear anybody like Nancy start mentioning stimulus, I think gold will definitely pop through this level if we start hearing about stimulus and how much money that the United States is going to print. All right, so with that being said, guys, let's go over and let's do the giveaway for tonight. Winner last night was Sean, okay? All you got to do, guys, to get into it, every single person, Guy, you're brand new, but everybody gets at least one free ticket. All you have to do is type in !ticket. It will buy you a ticket. What it is, it's for pip chips. By watching the channel, you're now accumulating what's called, or it's basically, we call them pip chips. They are the channel's currency. And you can buy mentoring. You can buy indicators. I was going to put some sweatshirts up there and stuff like that. Doesn't cost you anything. Just by watching the channel, you accumulate these pip chips. And this giveaway is for the same thing. You'll accumulate the pip chips and you can buy whatever you guys like. My students, most of the guys in here, Ernest, FX Jones, WM, Debbie, James, they're all students, and I talk to these guys on a regular basis. So we have a great time with the giveaways and stuff. We also do some contests where we do above and below and stuff. We try to have as much fun as we can. If you guys want to keep coming around, typically we do these sessions Monday through Thursday night from 9 to like 10:15, 10:30, somewhere around there. Tuesday mornings, I also do presentations live on the channel for an hour, actually for Nadex, from 12 to 1. Anytime that you guys want to bounce in, you're more than welcome to. What I teach and the way they look at charts is just price action reading. It's using supply and demand. It doesn't matter what chart we're looking at. You can do it on everything. Some charts, obviously, you're looking here at gold. You're not seeing all the gaps. It's much easier to read price here than with some of the stocks that are out there. But if you guys want to learn to be, technical traders, every single thing that I talk about is just really how do you read charts. It doesn't matter what it is. You can apply it to any of the charts you're looking at. So you're more than welcome to always bounce stocks off of me or ask, and always give my opinion and everything of what I see in the charts. Obviously, nothing I give is a recommendation, but again, I'll tell you what I feel, and if there are strategies, I can help point you in the right direction for things that again, you may want to look into. All right. So with that said, let's go ahead and do this drawing right now. Where is it? I lost it. Bam, right here. All right. So we got 9 entrants in. We got 11 tickets purchased. If you do win 2 nights in a row, you do get 100 pip chips. Let's see if Sean, with his 1 ticket today, Debbie is going in today. Debbie wants to win. It's been a week for her, so she's going in, and Ernest is trying to make sure that Sean doesn't take it away tonight. So here we go. I'm going to close it down, and let's go ahead and do the winner. Oh, Wealth Builder got in today. He missed it yesterday. You were trying to get in at the last minute. He got in today. Q is in. Whew. See, this is how I can tell you oil prices are going down, because Josh is not in here. If Josh was here, or Josh's daughter was here, I would know that she wants gas money. If she's not here, she's not looking for gas money. So, all right, winner of tonight's drawing is Wealth Builder. Look at that. See, Wealth Builder, when you enter the contest, you can win. If you don't get your ticket in time, you can't win. So Wealth Builder pulls it out tonight. So we still do not have a double winner yet. I'm telling you, we're going to get it eventually. We're going to get it eventually. Wealth Builder right here. Give him his 25 points. There we go. All right, guys. So with that said, thank you guys so much. Wealth Builder's like, yeah. All right, somebody get me a meme for the Discord channel. Wealth Builder is on top of his desk dancing right now. Look at that. You got to play to win, buddy. You got to play to win. All right, guys. I'll catch you guys next week. If you need anything, message me on Discord, and I'll catch you guys then. Take care.